Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a match that is, without a doubt, going straight into the history books. We're talking about that massive semifinal clash between Cruz Azul and Chivas Guadalajara. This wasn't just your standard game of football. No, it was a literal tactical war out there on the pitch. So let's get right into the analysis of a victory and break down exactly how this historic match was won, how it was lost, and the sheer chaos that decided who finally punched their ticket to the grand final. Let's go.
We are talking about 90 minutes of pure, unadulterated drama. This match had literally everything you could possibly want as a fan. We saw early goals, lightning-fast responses, absolutely massive defensive stands, and a second-half dagger that left the normally electric Jalisco Stadium completely and utterly silent. You could just feel it, right? Every single tackle, every single run, it all carried the heavy weight of a championship dream. Let's set the stage a bit and look at the context. The first leg of the semifinal ended in a super tense 2-2 draw. So what does that mean? It meant absolutely everything was on the line for this second leg, right on Chivas' home turf. The fans? Deafening. The pressure? Off the charts. The margins were razor thin. This was your classic winner-takes-all scenario, and with that aggregate score sitting where it was, it demanded absolute perfection from both sides.
So let's jump right into Act 1, 10 minutes of madness. The whiplash right after kickoff was just incredible. Just 4 minutes into the match, literally before half the fans had even found their seats, Jeremy Marquez finds a pocket of space and just buries the ball into the back of the net. Boom, 1-0 Cruz Azul. But hey, Chivas, they didn't panic. Just 3 minutes later, Omar Gouveia strikes right back with this absolutely brilliant equalizer. So in the span of just 7 minutes, 2 massive goals completely reshaped the entire match. Wild, right? So suddenly, the match score is tied at 1-1, which deadlocks the aggregate at 3-3. But how exactly did Chivas pull off that rapid response? Well, they did it by immediately pressing forward and totally overloading the midfield right after they conceded. It was a massive, incredibly risky tactical adjustment, but man, did it pay off instantly. It made the stadium totally explode and left the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. Which brings us to Act 2, the midfield battle. Now, you and I both know you can only sustain that kind of wide-open, chaotic attacking for so long. Eventually, the tactical structures settled in, and the center of the pitch turned into a brutal, physical war zone. I'm talking heavy tackles, flying yellow cards, just an absolute grind as both teams tried to break the other's will. But you know who the real vital anchors were here? The goalkeepers. Oscar Wally for Chivas and Kevin Meyer for Cruz Azul stepped up with massive game-saving stops. They were literally keeping their teams alive right in the middle of all that midfield frenzy.
And that leads us perfectly into Act 3, the dagger and the wall. So all that relentless tension, it finally broke in the 65th minute. After a solid hour of grueling physical football, Agustin Pellavicino manages to find just this tiny, tiny pocket of space for Cruz Azul. In a match completely defined by heavy tackles and chaos, Pellavicino keeps his utter composure and slots home the winning goal. It was the lethal dagger. In a game of inches, that single moment of clarity was what gave Cruz Azul the critical advantage. But hey, the match wasn't over just yet. Down a goal, Chivas threw absolutely everything they had at the Cruz Azul defense in those final 20 minutes. We saw aggressive attacking substitutions, they pressed super high up the pitch, and they just kept launching ball after ball into the penalty box. But Cruz Azul's keeper, Kevin Meyer, he stood like a brick wall. The guy was just impenetrable. It didn't matter what Chivas threw at him, Meyer completely locked down that victory.
All right, let's synthesize all of this. Cruz Azul secured their 2-1 victory on the night in 3 distinct steps. Step 1, completely throwing away the conservative playbook with that lightning-fast start. Step 2, surviving the immediate aggressive Chivas midfield overload. And Step 3, navigating that brutal second-half chess match to finally deliver the dagger, all while relying on a truly heroic goalkeeping performance to see it out. Honestly, it was a masterclass in adapting to chaos.
Which leaves us with a pretty important final question to consider. What went wrong defensively on those 2 goals? Chivas is left wondering what could have been. Where exactly did their defensive structure break down to allow Marquez and Pellavicino those crucial game-winning pockets of space? And looking ahead for Cruz Azul, does the momentum of surviving this intense cauldron at Jalisco Stadium carry them all the way to lifting the trophy? Let me know what you think, and definitely keep these tactical lessons in mind as the final unfolds. Thanks for joining this explainer, and we'll catch you next time.